Okie doke. So basically today it's gonna be like quick thunder tip, like one of those kind of advanced or no, not super advanced features, but one of those very useful features that you can find on Inventor. And we'll try to make it as simple as possible, trying to highlight all the properties that we can get. So basically, we're talking about iFeatures. As you might already know, everything that's whatever on Inventor, that is iParts, iFeatures, iAssemblies, are configurable models, right? So when we're talking about iFeatures, we're talking about bringing in components and bringing in features that have been saved with certain configuration, so we don't have to do them over and over again, all right? So suppose we have something like this. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm creating a case right here for whatever. Could be a case for a fan or something, right? I'm going to make it about 4 inches by 4 inches, all right? I'm going to create the case like this, 1.5 inch, and I'm going to add some fillets here, right? And 0.5, there we go. I'm going to create a shell with 1/8 inch. All right. And let's suppose we need to create some guides that are going to go all the way up down here. Okay. So the iFeature in its essence would be something like this, right? I'm going to go to my Manage tab. I'm going to insert an iFeature that's already existing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and include this one. It's going to pop up right here. Okay. And notice that this particular iFeature, it's basically an extrusion with some rounds in here that has been configured to make a guide. This particular one can be configured in any way I want. For example, let's say I want to make it 1/4 inch with a height of 1 inch. Okay, and with a certain width of 0.125, for example, right? Probably a little too big, so 0.075. Okay, so notice that what Inventor is going to do, it's going to bring in this particular feature that has been configured, so I can input certain parameters, and that can save a lot of work. Okay. So in its essence, that's how it's used, right? But what we're going to see today is how we can build it, right? So when we're going to create an iFeature, basically what we're going to do is we want to start with a certain part that already has all those features, right? For example, right here, I have my little stop, right? And I gotta be very careful on how I'm creating those parts, right? And how I'm creating those features as well. In this case, what I got from a feature is an extrusion, right? That's basically constructed with a certain height and a certain diameter, okay? So I got the height right here, I got the diameter parameter down there, and I have a width parameter that's basically from the sketch I'm getting right here, okay? So my sketch right now, it's kind of free in some sort of way, in the sense that it can be moved. It doesn't have any external references. That's going to be very important, right? And I'm constructing a part from those two parameters with a certain fillet, which in this case, notice that it's half the diameter, or the radius for this one is half the diameter, and another extrusion that's cutting that portion out, all right? So this is gonna be the base for my iFeature. So I'm gonna go right here to my Manage tab, and I'm gonna hit on Extract iFeature. All right. So every single uh, every single operation that's gonna be part of my features should be included here. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead, include extrusion one. Sorry. The fillet two, it's gonna be included automatically, right? And I gotta click on extrusion 4, so it's included in my iFeature as well. All right. Notice that all the parameters, okay, that actually have a name right here are gonna get included in my iFeature by default. Okay. So everything that's gonna be configurable, everything that you're supposed to modify or basically change in the iFeature should be brought like this. All right. From the extract the feature window, I can go ahead and change the certain value. I can change the prompt. For example, I could specify that the prompt that I'm going to give the user when I'm bringing that one over is diameter for stop or something like that, you know, total height. Could be anything I like. Oops, flange. There we go. Okay, so I can specify any prompts. Remember, we're creating this for a certain user. Okay, so the idea is make the user's life as simple as possible, right? For any other features, you'll see if the parameters are gonna affect it. Okay, for example, for extrusion 4, the width, the diameter, and all of this is going to affect how extrusion 4 works, basically because I'm using the same sketch and I'm getting to the same location, all right? Or basically the same height, okay? The other thing we can do with the iFeatures is we can set certain limits or certain options for each one of these parameters, okay? So if you don't want to just modify the parameters willy-nilly, but you want to specify like standard sizes, or if you want to specify just a range for the height that you can construct, no biggie. All you gotta do is hit on the limit and specify, for example, a list for the diameters. And say I can create one with 1/4 of an inch, right? Maybe can create another one with 3/16 of an inch, right? And another one with half an inch. Let's see. No, I'm not gonna use this one, so no biggie. I'm gonna get rid of this one. There we go. No problem. All right. So we got 4, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, and half an inch. Okay. Can specify which one's gonna be my default, right? For example, I'm gonna make 1/8 of an inch the default. Should be right. Okay. So that way the user can only select stuff in that particular list. All right. Can specify a certain range for the height, right? So for example, I could specify that my minimum height is supposed to be half an inch, right? That my default it's going to be 3/4 of an inch, right? And that my maximum is going to be 1.5, right? So no biggie if you're using different units, it's all right. All of this, it's just the same as mastering equations in the regular parameters, all right? I'm gonna go ahead, hit OK. As for the width, I'm gonna specify a certain range as well, okay? So I can have a minimum of 0.025, right? And a maximum of 0.25 for the width. There we go. All right. So when I save this iFeature, basically I will be able to select the diameter from a list, and I can specify a height and a width from a certain range. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, hit save, and I'm gonna save this guy in a location where that's gonna work. I'm gonna name this top feature. There we go. The iFeatures are going to be saved as their own files, right? So the stop IPT, it's not the actual iFeature, right? This is just going to be a part, and the actual feature that can be included, it's going to be this little guy that's called stopfeature.ide, all right? So it's usually a good idea to save those in a particular location where everyone can access them, all right? If you want to include them as part of your Inventor system, that is, if you want to be able to click on this guy right there and select the features from that list, you can place it on the iFeature catalog. That's a system folder. It's going to be part of your public documents, okay, where you can go ahead and save all of your features as well, right? But it's not like you have to select them in there, okay? So I'm gonna get rid of this one. Not gonna use it. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead, and now I'm working on my design. I'm gonna use my feature. So all I'm gonna do is insert the iFeature. All right. So all I gotta do is select the proper file, right? And select the proper references to those files. Okay. So in this case, the only reference I need is a plane. Notice that when I hover to different planes, the iFeature, it's going to be placed in different ways. Okay, so I can place the stop here, there, out here, up there, any way I want. Okay, it's going to be very, very important. I'm going to place it right there. Notice that because the sketch was created as kind of like a free sketch, I will have the option of moving this guy around anywhere I want. Okay. The iFeature is going to be based on a sketch, and I can go into that sketch, modify it, use any reference that I need to place my stuff. All right. Let's go next. Now, from the parameters, now notice that I'm able to modify these parameters in several ways. For the diameter, I can select the features from a list, right? And all I gotta do is hit refresh to check on how that feature is gonna look, okay? So 1/2 inch, it's a little too big, right? So I'm gonna use 3/8 of an inch, for example, 1/4 of an inch. I'm gonna modify the height to be 1 inch. Okay, notice that I'm able to input anything I want in here, okay? We got 1.25, for example, right? But if I try to specify something just too big, notice that if I go over 1.5, say you specify 2, that's going to give you a warning. It's going to tell you that the height cannot be less than 1/2 inch and more than 1.5. All right? So I got a very good control over how the people are going to create or use my iFeature. All right? Same for the width. If I specify the width to be 0.1, that's going to pop up like this. Okay? If I specify something very, very small, same kind of deal. I cannot use it. All right? And even if you try to use parameters that may be on your range, right? But that would render a wrong result, the iFeature is going to give you a warning. So, for example, if I specify a width of 0.2 or something like that, okay, basically that's not going to work because the width is just too big. All right. So that's basically how we want to place my iFeatures, right? We can rotate the iFeature if needed because it was free to rotate, right? At any point, I can go back and change the position, change the angle as needed. All right. And by the end, because the iFeature is based on a particular sketch, I can activate the sketch to place exactly the iFeature exactly where I need it. Okay. If I do not activate it, it's gonna render the result that we saw before. What it is, that's it, right? We can modify it afterwards, but it's usually a good idea to activate the sketch as soon as you place it, so you can actually modify the sketch and place it exactly where you need it to be. In this case, I'm gonna make sure that the center point of the iFeature is line right there on the center of this radius. And there we go. That's my feature. All right. So it's a very quick way of bringing in components and repeating operations over and over and over again in case you need those. If needed, you can always go back to your feature, modify the sketch. All right. You can always edit the iFeature operation, right? So you can go modify the sketch plane. So you can modify the parameters. Whoop, I had 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. There we go. All right. And apply it to your model as needed. All right. So that's basically what I wanted to show you guys today. I don't know if you guys have any questions.